What do the most secret weapons of nations look like? How do they work? I published my book June 28th, 2020. It covers several remote viewing sessions taken from a blind practice pool of over 300 different targets. By blind, I mean I don't get to see the target until I've completed the session. I worked the sessions over a period that spanned 6 years, from 2012 to 2018. There were more nations included in the target pool, but these were those that turned up. Since most blind pool targets include a wide array of different objectives, the most secret weapon queue only popped up occasionally, 18 times in total, and targeting the most secret weapons of 10 different countries. As I expected, almost all the technology I discovered is several levels above what the general public are ever allowed to see or know. I'm not talking about relatively mundane stuff like advanced jets, destroyers, or tanks. I'm not talking about the financial warfare currently decimating the markets. Rather, most of what I'm about to show you comes straight out of the realm of science fiction. Bear in mind too, in 2018, Washington announced to the world they were forming a new arm of the military that would be known as Space Force. Just 1 year later, NATO declared they too were militarizing space, proclaiming it to be an operational domain. Each weapon I target was the most secret of that particular nation at the time I worked the remote viewing session. And for this very reason, I use nonsense identifiers to label each of the nations. After all, it would be a little rash of me to name the country, right? And then reveal its most secret weapon. They would not like me doing that. Oh no. There is a nation, let's call it a wayland. Its most secret weapon is what I would categorize as a weather bomb. The man-made variety. Let's take a look at it. I posted this session in 2012 on learnrv.com, a community forum for remote viewers. It was archived by the Wayback Machine in 2014. It is still available to view on that site. If you are interested, I include a direct link to the posted session in the EPUB version of the book. Note how when I recorded my feelings during the remote viewing session, I get horror, surprise, shock, and alarm. Any feelings generated in the remote viewer by the target during a session are labelled AI, which in this case means aesthetic impact. In practice sessions, which often enough turn out to be enigmas, I like to take note of how I feel at the site. It suggests the nature of the target. And this target is pretty damn scary. It punches and it crushes. It is a funnel formation that sucks up the terrain and carries it away. This weapon will have been field tested. I would go so far as to say all the weapons in the book are already deployed across the globe. Some of them are orbiting Earth. At the end of the book, I come to a number of conclusions. One of them will seem unbelievable. The entire globe has become a battlefield. Most humanity is the enemy. It is really difficult to escape such a conclusion, as you're going to see by the end of this video. While I said I don't give away real names of the countries, I do make just one exception, because in this case, the weapon in question is no longer a secret. Between the day I worked the remote viewing session and publishing my book, the South Korean military not only dismantled the weapon system, they also released images of themselves doing as much. The story and photos were carried by international mainstream news publications. However, the official story is quite strange, and it's kind of amusing. Seems odd for a most secret weapon, right? I'm not going to comment directly on how this thing works. My data gives at least one clue, but let's just go with the official story, shall we? On the face of it, this has to fall into the category of psychological weapons. You might say this surely doesn't qualify as a most secret weapon. To that, I can only reply this was the data I got from the search queue, pulled blind to the content. The search queue specifically looks for the most secret weapon of the named country at that time. I've coloured the weapon system so you can easily make it out. The backdrop is the border between North and South Korea. The text data in the sketch includes the phrase, like a road seldom travelled. I've entered the text next to two crescent-shaped craters left by exploding shells, or possibly landmines, during the Korean War. You can see in the text data the word oscillator. These things are an electronic circuit that produces a periodic oscillating electronic signal, like a sine wave. A crystal-controlled oscillator increases frequency stability and accuracy in the signal. Say, for example, that used by a missile guidance system. This weapon system was dismantled in 2018. Take note. In the next weapon I'm going to show you, I'm going to use the phrases cause and effect and problem solution. It's a bit tricky. I need to be aware of the platform for this video. Hang in there with me, but I think you'll know what I'm talking about. Okay, on with it. This weapon, and the country it came out of, appeared 4 times over the 6-year period. It's a biological weapon. I find I have collected data recording several stages of development, right up until it was tested, apparently on a living subject. In the book, I assume the weapon was the nasty virus that has dominated news these past 2 years. However, that doesn't explain the data showing a strange, bright, metallic grid-like device in the body. You can see it here. I'm of the mind now that this weapon is a double whammy. It comes in 2 parts. It is both cause and solution, if you see what I mean. All my data and conclusions, including which nation this weapon did not originate from, is in the book. These next 3 sketches show the business side, or end of the barrel if you prefer, of the most secret weapons of 3 nations. Each of these sketches I'm going to show you form part of a set, so 3 sketches, 3 countries. There was no sign of a nuclear device in the data. The prime reason, I would think, was simply nuclear weapons have been around for quite some time. This is arguable, but I'm sure the point of nuclear weapons is that they are known about and they're not used. I come to a number of conclusions, and I include these at the back of the book. I discuss what I think the new weapon systems are really all about. Mutually assured destruction scenario? Well, that's clearly to be avoided. Militaries and governments don't want to get into wars they can't win either. It appears the overriding aim when it comes to the design of these weapons is to exert control over the population of Earth and the environment while avoiding as much as possible direct open conflict. Phew, that was quite a heavy topic. Remember, remote viewing always deals with the truth. We don't always get the answers we want, and certainly when we choose to search for a topic like this, we get answers we find difficult to deal with sometimes. Next time, I do something more fun. Again, multiple targets. I'm sure you're going to find them very interesting. See you then.